mean, it's a privilege, you know? It's like hard to quantify it or put it into words how exciting it is. And, you know, Chris is one of a kind, and it kind of exists in his own world in this industry. And I think that to be a part of that and to be allowed into that is such a pleasure and a privilege. And, you know, I'm still kind of pinching myself that I'm in it. You know, when I see the trailers, and I went to the cinema the other night and the trailer came up and like there's a shot of me in the trailer, and I'm still like, it takes me back to being a kid and seeing myself on the big screen for the first time and kind of not believing it.
Yeah. And in addition to us feeling, I feel the exact same way as you, they kind of just the wonder of it all, that like somehow you're involved in this historic thing. The other thing that's very cool is just in this moment where there have been so many technological advances in the world, and I don't think it's that the world's become jaded, but you know, I think that there's maybe a feeling like all of this knowledge has mean that we know things. To watch this film kind of really leave people speechless as audiences are beginning to see it, to see people really engage with wonder and awe, and kind of just feeling humbled the way I feel humbled by it, and wondering, how on earth did they do that?
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. At least that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with movies, because I used to watch them and wonder how they did that. And I just love that you can't say on this one, oh, well, they did it with computers, or they fixed it in post, or any of the easy answers. Like, Nina's like, no, they figured it out, and it's kind of like a magic trick.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's how it feels. It feels magical.
I hope and I believe that they will go and watch this movie and feel like they've been on an adventure. Like, making this movie felt more like going on an expedition rather than making a movie. And I think that his use of the IMAX camera and how that kind of like sucks you into the experience, I really hope that I know when I watched it, and I didn't even see it in IMAX. I haven't seen it in IMAX yet. I found it
so excited for you
to be so like all-encompassing, and you feel like you're a part of Odysseus' crew, and I think that when you see it in IMAX, it's going to feel even more like that.
Yeah. And I think that there's the in-theater experience, and then there's, you know, the echo of the film. And what we've been hearing from so many people that have seen it is the way that they just feel like their empathy has been inspired, and how that this movie really explores compassion, empathy, imagining what it would be to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, somebody else's position. That idea, it's so simple, that you treat others as you would be treated. It's such a simple concept, but we're still chasing it the same way they were, you know, when this poem was originally spoken. Greek mythology is kind of the ultimate storytelling.
It's kind of your area of expertise.
Expertise, oh no. It's an insult to all the classics majors out there. They're like, her? But I think that, so what I like to think about Greek mythology, and one of the reasons why I love it, is it's just this collection of stories that came from this very pure place as a way of understanding the mysteries, when, like, kind of in a way, the most advanced tool that was available at the time, the most advanced tech, was one's imagination. And so, you know, you wonder, well, why does thunder happen? Why does lightning streak across the sky? And they say, oh, because there's someone up there, and it just spins this story. And you can sort of imagine the world becoming richer and more colored in. And I just think that because I don't know, I just feel like the negative space in which those stories were told was so vast. They went so deep in a way that we're still exploring. It's just peak storytelling in a way that's just lasted for thousands and thousands of years. And we keep coming back to it. And I think that storytelling does have these key themes that are worth exploring for every generation, for them to define for themselves.
It's also, I just realised something in listening to you. It's also like the greatest collaborative piece of work ever. Because if you think about it, it's a story that's been told over thousands of years, and they didn't actually run into Cyclopses. It's just that story has evolved every time it was told by a different person. And like this day and age, like something happens in the world, like we can all see the same video of the thing that we're talking about. But this is like a living, breathing organism that is like changing with every time the story is told. And Chris is just one of millions of people that have told this story.
Yeah.
So it's
very
almost
cool.
like a piece of work that is a collaboration of thousands of storytellers.
Sorry, I have
That's
to.
actually quite cool.
It's very cool, and then you kind of think about how, and then the story molds to every time it's been told.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a relay race.
It's like a game of telephone.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
I was just so excited to see how he was going to do it, physically be there, you know, and because the last time I had such an amazing time at like as an actor being pushed to a certain place, and this time he was asking me to do something very different, so I had to kind of do different kind of work for it, and then I was just happy that I got to come in at different places in different countries and see different sets and be a part of the production in a way that allowed me to check in and get the temperature of everybody and also just be there for it. You know, it was a really amazing, wild experience, and yeah, I'll never forget it for sure. That's the part of it that's really very special, is knowing that everybody's going to be there again and that you're going to go through this experience again with them. And it's like when you see them, it's as if you didn't leave. You're all back, and it's a different adventure, different challenges, but there's this camaraderie that happens that's really exciting. And yeah, you're lucky to kind of feel that.
What you gain from Chris working with people again and again is a well-oiled machine. Mm-hmm. There's trust, there's confidence. And so for me, coming in as a newbie, it's like I'm being invited onto a very sturdy ship. Pun intended. So yeah, it was cool to experience that. There's a certainty, even if people are finding things, there is a sense of exploration and experimentation. There was a lot of experimentation, but there is just that they're not introducing themselves to each other. Mm-hmm. And so you gain so much from that. It's like you're just merging onto their lane. And yeah, it was fun to learn from that cohesive team. I hadn't heard really, or maybe I just didn't remember, the law of Zeus. I think this was something, that idea, mm-hmm. Or it expressed that way was new to me. And really, it's the same law as do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you. Be kind to be kind to a visitor because they could be a god in disguise. It's just such a wonderful, age-old value system to be reminded of, and we so badly need to be reminded of it right now. I appreciate that. There's something poetic.
Yeah, and it's just the idea that like the war or war in general, and yes, you've won the war and you get to tell the story, but like, what does that actually mean? What has it done to the people there and the people behind you? And then the thing that's I found really interesting about the law of Zeus is it kind of also speaks to people's inherent not goodness, you know, because it's like, oh, you better do this because this may happen. Mm-hmm. And so, but at the same time, it's the root cause of what a healthy society should be. So,
it's so hard to reflect on it without sort of almost getting emotional, right?
Yeah,
it's such a
that.
privilege to be a part of this. You know, it's always a privilege to work with great filmmakers. You know, it's personally like to be asked back to work with Chris is a real honor. But this is something else. You know, as you say, cinematic history, and I feel very privileged to be a part of it.
Yeah, I think it's a work of art, and I think it's, if I may be so bold to say it's Chris's magnum opus, I really think he's such a masterful screenwriter, and I think that's the magic of this, is the script, that I was able to take this 3,000-year-old story, make it accessible to modern audiences, make it emotional, make it action. You got sorcerers, monsters, demigods, and gods. I mean, you got it all. It's incredible.
I think they're going to get everything that they're coming to expect from the Odyssey, like all those beats, all those creatures, all those moments. But there's a real depth to every single character. You know, it's everyone said that this was impossible to do, but Chris has done it, and done it in the most spectacular way, in the most human way. And I think people are going to be really blown away by the emotionality at the center of it.
Yeah, I hope people really, really see themselves as Odysseus, that this is really, even though he's fighting all these creatures and trying to get home, that this is actually your own life. And it's a metaphor for your life and all the struggles you've had and all the battles and all the temptation. And you're going to make it at the end and be with your family and be home and feel all that love. I hope people see themselves in it.
I'm just having the time of my life. I mean, we're going to spend days with John
yeah.
Leguizamo for crying
Great
out
time.
loud. I mean, it's just so much fun, and getting to see some of the guys that I worked with for all those months. Especially Matt. And it's great to just finally be out here talking about this movie.
And like he was saying with Himesh, I've been having a great time with him, and he's so fun and witty. And then to see everybody else, Lupita and Zendaya and Tom, it's just fun to be with everybody. And what a crew, and Ben Safdie.
Yeah.
I mean, just seeing everybody, you start to be, I become a fanboy. I don't know.
Yeah.
George
Ruth.
Cottle, the incredible stunt coordinator
Yeah.
who made it all possible and kept us safe. He's incredible. Ellen, the costumer.
Yeah.
Louisa Abel, the most incredible makeup artist, special effects. She did all the old aging and all those incredible, the Cyclops, all these creatures. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's the crew, especially when you're on a job for this long. I was there for 6 months, every single location. That becomes like a second family, and we all had to carry each other through in so many ways because, and Chris knows that. That's how he makes sure that the people that are around him are people who are up for the challenge, but are going to look after each other, and we all did. Everyone loves making movies, whatever they're doing, whether it's in front or behind the camera. And so it's challenging circumstances, but we know what we're making, and we're up for the battle.
And Chris doesn't ask anything of you that he doesn't do himself. So he's in the trenches with you. And that just makes you feel like, oh man, we're doing something special, wonderful, and he's working as hard as we are. So it makes you want to give even more.
There's themes of family, there's themes of belonging, of trying to get home, all these things that we all feel in some way every single day. The heart of the story that Chris is telling here, I think, is that he's examining war and the effects of war on the psyche of an individual, but also on how it can erode people's humanity as a society, and that theme of Zeus's law, and how that can be lost if we choose to forget, or if we choose to turn our back on these things, how we treat each other, how we look at our neighbors, how we treat strangers, all these things. It's a really beautiful examination of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of the greatest stories ever told, and obviously most of Western literature is based on this, on the Odyssey somehow, and it's because the themes are ancient and they're part of humanity, and they reveal the human condition. That no matter how many centuries go by, we're still the same people dealing with the same issues of loyalty, betrayal, love, lust, war, the PTSD, wanting to go home, not being able to be home, and then just taking inventory of your life, and at the end, and have done the right thing. Has karma bitten me in the butt? All these themes just resonate.
It was exciting, humbling, intimidating, challenging in the best way, and very fulfilling to be a part of something like this.
I would say the same. These themes, just talking about it today, keep coming back. But both the grand and the granular. The scope. Just sort of internally going into it, knowing it's Chris Nolan, knowing it's the Odyssey, knowing it's this unbelievable cast, knowing it's this going to be this sort of epic journey of different countries and movies like this just really aren't have never been made before. So just knowing sort of the size and the scope, and then seeing there and seeing how grand it is, but then the way that Chris kind of cuts through all of that, and it also felt, just a passion-fueled, low-budget film at the same time, that everyone was there because they love it so much and they believe in it so much, and the connection between the folks on the ground was so real and honest, and everyone there for the right reasons. Both of these things were sort of always at play, and I was really taken with it. It really it will be an experience I never forget, and it will inspire me going forward that something like this, a process like this, could exist, and a filmmaker like that exists.
I feel that Christopher Nolan is one of one. We call him a visionary director, and that's aptly put, because he has a way of he works. He's John has said this, but he's exacting in how he works, and he has such a grand vision. And he conveys it so intimately with each one and every one of us. Like, when he walked me through what he was thinking, it was patient, it was detailed. He was interested in really connecting with me and inviting me onto this journey to work together. He's very collaborative as well, and the way he works, he's got this gentle authority with which he navigates his sets. His reputation, his aura precedes him, but when you meet him, he's very accessible, and he rolls up his sleeves and gets to work and expects everyone to do the same. So the actual process of working with Chris was extremely fulfilling, because I felt trusted as an artist, and I felt like my thoughts, my feelings, my ideas were welcome, and I felt I could trust his vision and his ability to convey it to me so that I could support it.
To be brought into this other world and to fully lose yourself, and to go to a place that in a time that is completely unrecognizable to modern life, and to sort of both celebrate and explore these themes of what it means to be human in those times, these themes of generosity and valor and duty and hospitality, but also that at the core, to be able to see ourselves in all of these characters and in this story, and have it be completely relatable and completely human. And I really think that was the aim, to take this epic story that has been a part of humankind forever, and then to sort of serve it up in a way that's relatable and palatable, and that we can see ourselves in it.
It was an unbelievable opportunity. It was one of the great experiences I've had in my life, because it was so challenging, and because it, not just for me, for everybody, that it just, every week would go by, and by Friday evening everyone would be wrapping out going, did we just do that this week? And that feeling of just accomplishing kind of week after week of this incredibly ambitious project. I mean, it's an epic story, obviously, and it's been around for 3,000 years, but the way Chris wanted to do it, do everything practically, do it all in camera, and what that would require of everybody who worked on it, it was clear to all of us, and it just meant everybody had to kind of push past anything they'd done before. And so I left that experience, and I said to everybody at the time, I've never been more proud to be a part of a team. It just really was a special experience making it, and I'm glad that it's translated into the experience for the audience. Well, I hope they experience the Odyssey. I hope they go on that journey, with Odysseus. It's it's such a big, the scale of it. It was very difficult to get the shots that we got. And to do it in the IMAX format, and to be able to put people just in it, and have them know that everything is real. Like if you see 1,000 people in the middle of a battle, like there were 1,000 people there. If you see ships in the there are ships out there, and all of that coordination to make that all happen. It took thousands of people working really hard to make it happen, and I love the fact that it's an old school way of making movies. It's how the movie would have been made 80 years ago, and so to do it that way, but on this new format, is pretty cool. It is an amazing cast, but I felt like they all just slotted right into their roles. Like they just became these people, and it made it really easy for me because I was bouncing around from one to the other and through these different stories, and it was just an incredible experience. As like each of them, I've always said like a great actor is good enough for both of you. You know, you just look at them and you get pulled into the world, and I got to have that experience with all these different people. You know, some of whom I'd worked with before, but some of whom I hadn't, and you know, so it's kind of an eye-popping cast when you see the names that are in it, but they really are these people when you really get dropped into this, you know, this kind of comprehensive, real, full world.
Tenet was pretty big, and there were some pretty spectacular set pieces, and this was just another level. I mean, it's kind of, I might have seen him like the tiniest bit stressed on this, because on Tenet, I didn't seem stressed at all, but like I think his capacity for containing chaos is just unlike any other human being I've ever seen. I mean, he is just completely cool as a cucumber the whole time, but this is just probably the most ambitious thing any director has probably ever done, and he still just handles it with absolute grace. I mean, I don't even understand how he, like, even just jet lag. Why does he not get jet lag?
I don't know how he sleeps with the days ahead that he has.
And just always looks so fresh.
Yeah.
No matter what, even if they're a night shoot, doesn't make any difference. It's just
No.
like he's just fine. Everything, untouched by everything.
Yeah. The crew are, you know, arguably the best in the world, and what makes them so special is that they're not just great at their craft, but they have such a sense of passion for the work. Like everyone wants to be excellent, everyone wants to do something that hasn't been done before. I think the idea of shooting an entire movie on IMAX was a really daunting task, not just for Chris and the camera department, but for everyone. You know, there's no hiding in IMAX. Like every little detail is going to be on the screen. And I think the crew really relished in that challenge and rose to the occasion. And I think that there just was there was a camaraderie and a solidarity that I haven't seen before on a film set.
I mean, it's incredible. It's just a testament to Chris, really. But like, I mean, just everybody wants to work with him. But on this one, it was kind of quite shocking. I mean, where every single part is like just people just pretty high up there for a caliber of actors. But it's exciting. I mean, that's the whole thing. You want to be able to work with the best actors, you want to be able to work with the best crew, and Chris allows you to do that, allows you to be at the highest levels of this profession.
Do you know what Chris said in that interview earlier, I found so refreshing, where he said, I just want people to be entertained. You know, I think sometimes you can get so caught up in what the message that you want people to feel and experience, but that message could be different for any audience member. So I think to go on an adventure with us and to ultimately just be entertained, I think it's very human. You know, I think even though we're not fighting cyclopses and sirens and all that sort of stuff, we are dealing with everyday struggles that are a desire to belong, love, loyalty, sacrifice, consequence, you know, even as simple as like missing your family. I think those are all things that we deal with on a daily basis. And I think the reason the Odyssey has endured is because when you read it, you can relate to it in so many different ways with so many different characters.
Wow. Well,
Where do we begin?
yeah.
No,
Okay.
go.
I think for me, personally, having started out as an extra and dreaming about having a speaking role, and then getting a speaking role, and then going to the, like the life I've had in front of a camera, my love of cameras, and what they mean, and magic and cinema and La Belle et la Bête, or the Red Shoes, or if we're thinking about the history of cinema, films that Lawrence of Arabia, films that are extraordinarily remembered for all time. I just feel so honoured and overwhelmed, and pinch me forever that I'm in a Christopher Nolan film with this incredible cast, but also playing Circe. That I got that honour. So that's how I feel. This with this camera, this experience, this. It's like as a little kid watching the telly and you see Elizabeth Taylor on that throne, because they're making Cleopatra and they talk about how many extras, and you're like, they don't make movies like that anymore. And then,
Cut to.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah. So that's how I feel.
Yeah. I second everything that you're saying. It's such an honor and a privilege, and I feel like on sets like this, on every set there's so much to learn, but specifically one like this, there's so much to absorb and take with you, and to learn. Like there's talk about wisdom, I gained, I think, so much wisdom just by being on a set like this and watching people work, asking questions, and just I don't know, there was a day that they were shooting and I was off, and I just was like, is it okay if I just kind of tag along, because in what world would I be able to just observe a Christopher Nolan set? Are you kidding? I remember there, I got to be on the boat with everyone, and I was like, I'll stay here all day. I don't even, this is an absolute dream, just as someone who's a fan and really loves doing this stuff. It was really, really special. It's interesting because when, we just had an interview with Chris Nolan, and he said he wanted people to be entertained. And, there is so much here emotionally that I think different audience will take with them and hopefully feel moved and connected to. But also so much of what we do is to entertain, and to allow people to, escape reality for however many hours and fully immerse yourself in this case, a piece of literature from, thousands of years ago, that has been brought to you by way of, Christopher Nolan. So it's I think that's also part of it too, to just be fully lost in this and enjoy that time. And yeah.
I hope they feel like a kid again if they're an older person. That experience of seeing something that changes your life, that makes you fall in love with the movies, if they're older. And if they're younger, I hope, I know it will change their life forever.
We've talked a lot about this in our kind of previous interviews, and I think it's this, all the very human mistakes are still very much a part of these characters, and we still seem to get the same things wrong, and it doesn't seem like we're doing any better, we don't ever really learn that lesson. Odysseus is on this journey of having to reckon with this idea of Zeus's law. That's something that, we as human beings tend to just lose sight of. And I don't know, I think as long as we keep making the same mistakes, keep failing the tests, if you will, this will kind of always be relevant, unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know, but we are human. Unfortunately, I
mean, we were talking about Interstellar and time, and you talk about, the origins of this story and how it's ancient, and how history repeats itself, things change but they stay the same. But ultimately what I feel is that there is often when you go to the cinema, or you know, you watch something, I don't know, there seems to be a lack of hope sometimes in music, in literature, because people are really like, this is my feet, you know, I want people to learn about the experience I've just had. We're living in a time of the I. We're living in the time of me. Certainly it's very hard for young people to escape that. This movie, for me, is about hope and love, but also the coming together and trust, you know, in that way of, for me, humanity. And so long as we're always looking inside and not looking to our brothers and sisters to come together, we're going to be in trouble, you know. So I think that's how I'm experiencing that.
Yeah.